there, this is Sharon Rolfe with reading Fresh Courage in Retirement book that I wrote about 3 or 4 years ago. And you can find me at SharonRolfe.com. And if you like my videos and my um, YouTube, you can connect with me there. But I think a lot of people getting it interesting perspective on both me and my writing. And this time is chapter 5, Explore the Possibilities, which is the cover of my book too. But I the chapter is called Accumulate Resources. And like you've probably already figured out, my take on things is a little unusual because I help you think. So let's see. I need to put my text up here. All right, here we go. And let's see if I change my screen here just a bit, that would help me too. Well, that might not have worked. So, what is your perspective on life? Is it scarcity or abundance? When is enough enough? So we're talking about accumulating resources. You probably have you know what your resources are, but if we approach it from scarcity, it makes a big difference, and I want you to really pay attention to that today. So my situation may not be that much different than yours. My savings will likely last me past the age of 90, but there's not a lot of extra room for surprises and trips and special events. The need for new things isn't the same in this season of life, retirement. Besides, I get a kick out of finding secondhand things that do the job when I'm in need of something. It's kind of like a treasure hunt to me. My focus is now on maintaining the house and the car and keeping the bills paid. For me, accumulating resources means something different now. And for you, it's more likely focused on things outside of yourself and your household. But we want more than survival. Let's thrive, right? The survive and thrive issue now includes our kids and grandkids, and spending discretionary income often is for others, traveling to their special events, helping them to get clothes for schools or books or a new lawnmower, right? An amazing book I read was The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist, a global activist and a consummate fundraiser. What took me by surprise was that I didn't learn what I thought I would when I read it. The author has worked with people who were ultra billionaires as well as people whose lives didn't include any money. The full spectrum. You might have heard it said some of the happiest people are poor, but she found their living without money made them rich in other ways. Lots of other ways. The lesson I came away with was it's what's in your heart that gives money meaning and value. Another book, Love Money, Money Loves You, described money as energy or a motivator. Like remember when you were a teenager and you wanted a car? You figure out a way to get a job so you can buy a car. The need you felt motivated you, energized you to find a solution. The trade work, you were trading hours for a paycheck to get a job. My sister had an accident along this line in her first job, and she spent the insurance money settlement to buy her first car. And a car needs to be insured, however. So the need for insurance money motivated her to return to work. If you worry a lot, you might have a scarcity mindset badgering you about how will you ever pay for a new water heater or a trip plus a gift to attend your grandson's wedding next summer 2 states away. Some of those worries include the fear of not having what it takes with your fixed income. Add to that the low confidence, self-confidence, and you just can't figure out what to do. However, should someone ask you about this blessed event and how it's going to work out for you, admitting you might need help is hard to do too. So you say, I've got enough, and then worry some more. What a problem. So when you have a mindset that things will work out, we intend to survive and thrive. Phew, phew. What a relief. Things will work out. We can stand taller, lift our chin, find some curiosity, and be open to possibilities. Opportunities may turn up for you to walk your neighbor's dog for a couple of weeks or house sit for someone. Then you get to anticipate the trip after all. Do you feel poor now? Let's say accumulating resources from a perspective of abundance um, allows you the pleasure of helping a few people to have a better life. Their job and success then can be enjoyed by you too. Double win. So, entertaining possibilities on a regular basis invites an element of faith, courage, curiosity, and risk. It may require being vulnerable too, and that's when creativity is born. Until you are willing to see if something good can turn up in your favor, you can't and won't see an opportunity when it does appear. The cultures where money is absent is where value is expressed and experienced in other ways. Taking care of each other is common. Perhaps it's like having all things in common. You need it and it's yours. Tending food and crops is done together. Raising families is a community event. Wisdom is collectively used when decisions need to be made. Would you be willing to consider what other resources you have besides money today? Assets, belongings, supplies, and support. How about your resource of a voice and smell and touch and sight and taste? How about a warm heart, fortitude, love, skills, abilities, and wisdom? What about the people you know and your education, your knowledge, your beliefs, your experiences? Oh, it's impressive. With all these resources, what isn't possible? You are enough. You have enough. Remember, risk and a leap of faith could make a difference. In fact, it could also be energizing. So, even though I haven't had abundance of money as yet, it didn't stop me from making 53 podcasts. And I created and taught 30 workshops in my area senior centers. I also contributed a dozen articles for my local newspaper. Then, in the future, with Fresh Courage book that I wrote here, I anticipate funding college scholarships for young women. To all these resources that you have, let's add the element of what matters to you, your values. It's A subject rarely discussed. How you use money speaks a lot about what matters to you. What other resources? Clarifying your values can be a real eye opener. Then reflect on how your current choices line up with your values. This is a significant question. What story does your checkbook tell about your values? Until they align, you may find yourself in many situ- frustrating situations. And you've wondered why, right? Life is good when you honor and live your values, the things that really matter to you. You are a valuable nugget of accumulated resources. Engage your natural resources now to shine. It's your time to shine. Success is now about making a difference from your heart, your experiences, your talents, and accumulated knowledge. In retirement, you have the freedom to be your own boss like never before. And perhaps the drive to survive and thrive. Being emotionally and socially healthy, helping others to have a better life also matters to you because life is better together. Your clarified values will help you sift through the opportunities that show up in order to know where will there be a fit for you. So let's look beyond accumulating more things. Let's accumulate more friends and experiences and continue to grow. So, volunteering is a great way to do this. Trading monotonous, boring days for things that energize you. Then you won't be home with should sadness and depression come knocking on your door. The value clarification process is powerful because it helps you understand why certain things bother you, such as stories in the news. Once you know what's important to you, you can stand for something and pursue something with conviction. It could turn out to be your purpose. How satisfying would that be? Now, my podcast guest in this chapter is motivational speaker Paul Long, and he takes the excuse mindset approach, why change now attitude. And our excuses turn us into sadness, despair, and depression, which may precede dementia, alcoholism, or suicide. Paul posed a question to my audience. Imagine going back into your 20s when you're looking at life and your career is ahead of you and you're trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? Well, back then, you didn't know much. You didn't know much about yourself and you didn't know much about life. Now, imagine this time in your life as being in that place again, except you do know yourself. You do know what you like and what you don't like and what you're good at and what you're not good at. Now is the opportunity to do something that you want to do, and it doesn't have to be 40 or 80 hours a week. What could be your excuse for not moving forward and not taking a bit of risk and trying something new? When I say risk, I don't necessarily mean financial risk. There could be, there are all the internal so-called risks the emotional risks that we also have. But I also thought about the rocking chair test, that the number one regret that people have when they are passing away is that they didn't go forward. They didn't go for something. I then posed the question to several, Paul says he posed the question to several other professionals. What are the common excuses for not moving forward, not taking a risk, not trying something new, and how can we overcome it? So he came up with and shared on my podcast 5 excuses. I'm not creative. I'm not a big idea person. I don't have anything interesting. He says, author Tim Ferriss says to ask yourself, what excites me? What do I love? Consultant Alana Love created a passion profiler at the website thepurposelink.com/passion dash profiler forward slash to help you discover the core passions you need to address to have a fulfilling life. Author Jay Shamit suggests putting a tablet next to your toothbrush or your bed, and every day before you go to bed, write down 3 problems you saw or experienced that day. What happens over that 30 days is that you've not only come up with an impressive list, but all of a sudden there are certain problems and needs that you're seeing that start resonating within you. In fact, I'll lay high odds that some of those ideas, if not one of those ideas, all of a sudden you're going to find yourself thinking about it. It's going to be percolating organically within your mind, and you're going to identify it because you can relate to it. You have an idea for it. So then, looking at your skills, look at your talents, look at your abilities, and start applying those. Google called it how entrepreneurs come up with great ideas. It could be you. All right, excuse number 2. I'm too old. Considering the fact that you've got all these years of healthy life ahead of you, you aren't too old. Be present in life. Be grounded and observe things. Ideas are abundant. Drive isn't. Paul says, I've had 3 feet of file drawers behind my desk full of great ideas that never come to fruition because I didn't have the drive to do any of them, right? Let your subconscious do the work here. When you start thinking and seeing all those problems, your subconscious will start taking over to attack practical problems. Head into the weird places. Think outside the box and think outside the box about yourself. We're all more capable and have more options than we ever imagined. We are the most self-limiting creatures on the planet. Search for a better way. Think big. Get inspired by history. I could give you example after example of people who were like, who the heck am I to do this? Who did it? What? And they're famous and they succeeded. They made a difference in our world. Also, be inspired by what's happening now. More and more people over 50 are reimagining and reinventing by starting businesses, pivoting careers, becoming professional gig workers or contractors, and the list goes on. It is a mega trend you can join. Now, be prepared to shift gears. Imagine whatever you're imagining. Now it's going to be different. It may take longer, 6 months from now or 6 years from now. You can't rush the brain to overcome excuse number 2 about being too old, about not having the right skills or experience or knowledge. And if you really stop and think for a moment about it in the first place, in this day and age, are you kidding me? When anyone could go to Google or AI or YouTube to learn anything, You can discover any skill or experience or knowledge you need to know now. Excuse number 3, I don't have time. We're always seeming to talk about not having enough time. And by the way, besides Pro Boomer, Paul said, I still have my content creation business going. Plus, I'm in a multi-decade relationship. I have 2 sons. Granted, they've moved away, but I never stopped being a parent. I heard someone put it this way: whether you're rich or poor, whether you're famous or successful or whatever, you only have 24 hours in a day. We all have only 24 hours in a day. In my case, every morning, he says, I do yoga. I listen to these people on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing, and YouTube is one of the most phenomenal tools ever. And I listen to people like Tim Ferriss or John Astroff or James Clear, who's a habit hacker, Brian Tracy and Bernard Bouchard, who have these methods about you don't have to necessarily embrace it. This goes way beyond Stephen Covey planners, but ways to be more efficient with your time, ways to be more effective in focus. It's having habits to get up and go and do things. I love that James Clear says, because when you have a busy life and you're trying to just start something that you don't necessarily have a boss or a loved one demanding it of you, it's hard to get it done. Clear says to focus not on the whole goal or task, just focus on the first 1%. Want to get in shape? Just focus on getting your workout shoes on and take it from there. You get in that habit and it works. So the point is that we do have time. As we're getting older, we're hearing the clock tick, and we do still have our whole lives in front of us, but we do have more limited time, even if it's 30 or 40 or 50 years. So that's the other side of the coin. We've got more time than we think we do. And in some ways, it's almost more important now for us to find things that give us the relevance and purpose and to make a difference. Now, you have set your own deadlines. It really is about your personal performance. Set deadlines for yourself. When are you going to get this part figured out? When are you going to figure that out? You make time for the priorities because it's personal. Okay, excuse number 4. I'm too late, or I'm too late in life. Actually, the opposite is true. This is probably the most optimum time of existence in human history, as well as in your life, when you've got the experience and the knowledge and the skills honed. How many people flourish? Monet did his greatest paintings in his 80s when he said, I think I finally got it figured out. You've got the network of friends and family and colleagues. You've got the money. You don't always need to invent something new, but look at applications and technology or solutions or business and everything, and you can have a better way of doing it. Or you can have a way that's more suitable for your target audience. For example, getting older. Okay, at some point in our lives, even though we've been talking about how healthy and vibrant and all the possibilities we have into our 70s, 80s, and even 90s, there's probably going to come a time when we're more challenged, also known as assisted living, where we really need some care that needs reinventing. The current situation in every way, shape, or form doesn't cut it. If you've had older parents or you know other people who have gone through it, you know what a nightmare it can be and how inappropriate it is. There are some people that are in aging 2.0. Look it up online. People trying to do it better. So, who better than us because we're taking care of ourselves in our own future? That's something that could be transformed. Excuse number 5. I can't take the risk, and especially who am I to do this? There are now millions of different iterations of how people were continuing to work into older age, from being a consultant to part-time special projects to whatever. Two quotes come to remember, and the first one from Mark Twain: 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the ones you did explore. Explore, dream, and discover. The second quote is from Helen Keller: security is mostly a superstition. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. What I'm really going to regret is not going after it, not my legacy. Yes, I had great careers, Paul says. Yes, I raised 2 wonderful children. I had a phenomenal relationship, but really, what am I going to regret? Not going after. And so I've literally envisioned how would I feel if I didn't go after my pro-boomer / new way forward idea. And he has done that. I get emails from him every week. Even though I've got challenges, even though it's a lot of hours and everything is so fulfilling to do this, it is literally a journey I'm enjoying. I'll interject something here, and this is myself speaking. Paul made a award-winning documentary about how the Peace Corps and the 60s got started. I think this is an ideal time for us boomers to get re-engaged with the Peace Corps. His film is 1 hour long and marked the 50th anniversary of presidential candidate John F. Kennedy on the campus of the University of Michigan, giving an impromptu speech to 10,000 students and bringing up the concept of the Peace Corps. That was the first time in history the youth, the baby boomers, were able to say, wait a minute, I'm not going to live my life the way my parents or society expects me to. We're going to do things differently. I really enjoyed the movie and remember it being covered on the news then, way back in our youth. I recommend watching it. It's called The Passing of the Torch, and it's on Vimeo, Vimeo.com/737999145. And you'll have a lot of memories when you watch that movie. All right, so now I close every chapter with actions to take. So we talked about values. Clarify your values becomes values because values are the principles and the standards guiding your decision and behavior. They help us walk our talk. So get clear on what truly matters to you. Here's a great list, and it's from Brene Brown's website. Circle a dozen or so that are important. Then narrow that list down by priorities in the top half versus the bottom half, and reduce it again in half. This list is on Brene Brown's website, daretollead.brenebrown.com/WP-content forward slash uploads forward slash 2019 forward slash 02 forward slash values dot PDF. And I believe it's a list of 40 or 50 things that could be values that matter to you. And you choose the things that really matter. Another step in this values process is list 4 peak experience that made you feel really terrific, such as winning a marathon or earning a degree or the birth of a child, etc. Then, what was it about them that made you feel so terrific? Was it fulfillment or success, satisfaction? Was it happiness? Being as specific as possible. Another step here would be list 4 of your hot buttons, situations or attitudes that really aggravate you, such as entitlement or rudeness or ringing phones at meetings. Then, what it is about those hot buttons that aggravates you, like selfishness or disrespect, for example. Now, based on your review of these action items, what would you say are your 4 core values that are most important to you? Kind of connect all the dots here to see if what matters to you truly comes up. Okay, that's the end of chapter 5, and I hope you got a lot of good ideas. I love to help make you think, and that's why I'm here. So thank you for showing up, and next week we'll do it again.